Hello, families. Welcome. Today is kind of a lesson I think I've been avoiding because it's so much. It's so complex. And even now, as I'm working on trying to record it, I'm kind of struggling to make sure that I don't give too much information at once where you're overwhelmed and you never come back and watch the video again. Um, this is about behavior. It has been a really, really important topic for me, as I would say that student behavior, both um, supporting families with student behavior at home and student behavior at school, has been kind of the number one hardest, most exhausting, challenging part of my job, which means that it's the number one most important, most challenging part of your job too, probably, or one of the hardest parts. So I've been very fortunate that I've had the opportunity to work with so many smart parents, powerful parents, and even parents who are kind of struggling to find their way through this whole experience of raising a deaf child. So much smart that I've been able to kind of pick from. I'm also very fortunate that I work with many people who have a background in behavior management. So my goal is to take some of that experience, some of that knowledge, and give it to you and mix it up with signs and tools that will help you use some of the ideas and strategies that I'm going to provide. Okay? So when we talk about behavior, we know, kids, it doesn't matter if they're hearing or they're deaf. Kids will sometimes have behavior that is not what we want. They will have wrong behavior. So let's kind of start with that all by itself. I was just watching the old movie, The Miracle Worker, that one with, what's her name? It's the black and white one, the old one. It was really good. But it's kind of a movie about behavior, really. And I was just struck by how the parents in the movie really felt like they had no power. They had given up on trying to control the behavior. But really, so much of the behavior started as communication. It was like Helen Keller in the movie was trying to communicate that she wanted that, or she wanted that, or she wanted that, or she wanted this. And then she would kind of ask for it with the behavior, and the way she asked was the wrong way. It was not what we wanted. But when we respond to the wrong behavior, then we reinforce the wrong behavior, and it becomes stronger and kind of a bigger problem as we go forward. So the parents in that movie they'd kind of created a big problem without knowing that they were doing it. In their hearts, they were just loving Helen. They had a lot of pity for her. They felt very sorry for her. They did not have high expectations. They expected that maybe they'd have to take her and put her in an asylum because they didn't know what to do. And there was no one to help. So as I was watching this teacher, holy moly, it was not comfortable for me. The teacher and the student, Helen Keller, were basically fighting and wrestling and pulling hair and spitting and slapping each other in the face. It's a lot of behavior management strategies that we don't want to use. we want the same results with a different approach to changing behavior. So anyway, talking about that movie, one thing I noticed I thought was very interesting was that the teacher, Anne, she tells Helen again and again, she says, good girl or bad girl. Okay, I'm going to encourage you to change the way that you talk about behavior. Okay, specifically, I'm going to ask you to talk about the behavior and not the child. Okay, we want to avoid good girl, bad girl. In fact, I tend to want to avoid good and bad. When we're talking about behavior, My own feeling, and this is just an idea for you to consider, is I think it's better to tell kids that the behavior is right or the behavior is wrong. I think that if you're stuck in a situation where you're really struggling with a child's behavior and you're using language like bad, 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 kids tend to kind of internalize that. And when they think about themselves, they start to kind of label themselves bad. They start to believe it. So we want to talk about what they do, not who they are. So you can kind of hold that in your mind as we go through this. I think it will help to shape our conversation. We're really talking about what they do, not who they are. All right? And like I said about Helen Keller, all behavior is communication. So our job is to figure out what the communication is, what do they want, and how can we give it to them? How can we meet their needs without accidentally reinforcing wrong behavior, if that makes any sense. So here are some guidelines that I want to use with you as we go through this. It's kind of something I was trying to think of 3 simple words that maybe you'd be able to remember that would help you when you're responding to a behavior at home. What do we do? You, yourself, you want to be clear. You want to be clear. You want clarity. Okay? And that's related to your communication. Clarity. Here's the sign if you're curious. Okay, you're going to make these O's and they're flat. O's flat, facing out, and they kind of start with the fingertips touching a little bit, and then they open up as they come out. Clarity. Clarity. You want to make sure communication is clear. Is that only signs? Oh, use facial expression, draw pictures, grab things and hold them up and show them, or there's so many ways to communicate clearly. You can write words if the child is older and knows how to read and write some words. Communicate clearly, clarity. That's number 1. Number 2, and I should tell you that on a previous attempt to record this, I was trying to use a bad pirate accent from Pirates of the, oh gosh, can I spell this? Caribbean. I think I spelled it wrong. And I've decided not to punish you anymore. So we're not going to do it this time. Clarity. Second one, big, so important, is consistency. Consistency. Okay. Continue. It's the 10 hands. This one here, this one here. My right thumb, because I'm right-handed, the thumb tip is going to press against the thumbnail on the other one and then kind of push it forward. Okay, it means like continue, 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 same, continue, same, consistency. Think about the way it's signed. That concept is so important. Continue, same. Kids are going to struggle if the rules are changing all the time. They don't know what to expect. They might do something they think maybe is wrong, but if it's not a rule, it's not clear, or sometimes it's a rule and sometimes it's not, kids get confused, okay? So consistency is going to be very important. So we have so far, these are going to be 3 things we're going to talk about. This one is clarity, consistency, and the third one is going to be compassion. Okay? Now you know, and I know, that life is going to be harder for a child who is deaf or hard of hearing. They're going to have more obstacles, more challenges developing relationships with people, more struggles in learning how to read. It's not fair. It's not fair. But if we let ourselves be controlled by a little bit different word, pity, poor boy, poor girl, we're going to create a new disability. And this is something that's really shown sometimes kind of a silly way. It's like too much, it's way over the top. But in that movie, The Miracle Worker, they show the parents, and I think the grandmas in the home too, they feel sorry. Poor Helen. She can't see, she's deaf, she's blind. We cannot expect her to do anything. So just let her walk around and grab food off the plates and stick it in her mouth. There was no expectations. Okay? And they really disabled Helen more because of that, having no expectations or having very low expectations. That's pity. And in families, this can be a huge challenge because the mom or the dad or both might feel strongly, hey, they're deaf. That doesn't mean they can't behave the right way, or it doesn't mean they can't learn this, and this. But maybe there's an aunt or an uncle at home, or a grandma or grandpa who feels differently. Oh, why are you so mean to him? He's deaf. He needs us to baby him or her. That's very common, and maybe you experience it at home right now. Um, Sometimes a very sad situation is that husbands and wives might disagree. It's possible that the dad is just grieving, and the idea of punishing a deaf child for wrong behavior is they just can't. They feel so sorry. They feel so much guilt for what's happened. They can't respond to the behavior. They just can't. It's not they're bad people. They're kind of stuck in that grief process, and it feels impossible. It feels mean. It feels cruel. Whereas maybe the mom is like, I'm home with the child every day and I'm fed up and the behavior is bad and we need to respond to it. How? So sometimes when husbands and wives are kind of apart on this issue, it can be a very serious problem for the family. So truly, behavior can mess up at school, it can mess up the classroom. At home, it can mess up the family and make so much stress for everyone. So if you're going through this right now and you're experiencing this, what I want to tell you is that there's hope. There's hope. It will get better if you follow some of the ideas I'm going to offer, which they're not my ideas. I'm very fortunate to work with so many behavior specialists and have so many contacts with different families. These are tried and true ways of managing problem behavior. And what's surprising, you think that a deaf child who is trying to control everything and is acting out, has really wrong behavior, that they would be sad when the parents kind of take control back. The opposite is true. Deaf children, just the same as hearing children, they want the adults to kind of be the boss. They want the adults to be in charge. And they want to know that they can trust us to do our job in a way that's kind and fair and consistent and clear. And when we do our jobs, they feel better. They feel safe. And this is true. It's a fact. So this is a huge responsibility. And deaf children themselves have some very unique, challenging, different behaviors. For example, how many of you have noticed that deaf children tend to close their eyes when they don't want to pay attention to what you're saying? Have you seen that before? From my own experience and what I've heard, it's a very common problem. How do you fix it? How do you respond to it? Do you grab the kid's eyes and pop their eyes? No, you don't have to do that. But it's going to require patience and time. It's going to require compassion, but never pity. You're not going to feel sorry for them. but you're going to respond with honest, like serious, true, real kindness to their suffering when they forget the rules or they break the rules. This was hard for me. As a parent, it's still hard for me. I have a really sarcastic part of my personality. So when a child, you tell them this is the rule, this is the rule, this is the rule, you have to follow it, and then they break it, I'm like, well, too bad. If only you'd followed the rule, now look what happened to you. We don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we've been clear, consistent, and then we can be compassionate. So you say, here's the rule. Here's the rule. Here's the rule. You understand the rule? Tell me the rule. Okay, you said it right. Good. And then when they break the rule, because kids do that, we want to respond with not, why did you do that? Look, well, now you're going to be punished. So why are you so dumb? Or, oh no, nothing like that. We are able to respond with kindness. But still, they are stuck with a response. They're stuck with a consequence for their behavior, no matter what. So let's give you an example. Let's say that maybe a child has an iPad or some favorite toy that they really love. And every week you've been going to the grocery store, you guys go into the store, and it's the same situation. Every time you go in, the child sees something. We'll say it's a boy. We'll say the boy sees like an action figure that he wants. He's I want that. And mom says no. And so what does the child do? He responds, ah! Screams, and all the people in the store look. And mom says, no, stop. Shh. And the boy keeps screaming and screaming. More and more. Then he hits mom. Then he grabs something from the shelf and throws it on the floor. Then pretty soon he's lying down the floor, kicking his feet, and he's throwing punches and stuff. Now, because this mom watched my video or read other books by many smart people who have written them, she understands that this behavior is going to go on and on until the child either A, gets what they want, or B, they figure out that it's not going to be successful. They have to figure out one of these two things. If before the parent had given up again and again, and when this little boy, he was screaming and yelling and crying, and the mom said, shh, here, and gave it to them, then that behavior was successful. He got what he wanted. So next time, he's going to do it again. And if mom decides now, no, and he starts crying and screaming and yelling, mom, maybe he's now feeling stubborn. She's going to say no. She's going to keep saying no. The boy thinks, that's strange. This worked before. Maybe I need to do more. Okay? So he starts screaming more and yelling more, and it just keeps going. And mom still says no. Does the boy give up? Nope. He's all, not yet successful. Need more. Screaming, hitting, biting, crying. All right. So, do you understand how this works? So, luckily, because his mom is smart, she had made a rule, and she'd been clear. She's getting ready to be consistent, and she's going to be compassionate too. So she says, all right, sorry. And she picks him up, and they go out of the store. And when they get home, mom takes that favorite toy or the iPad and she puts it up. And the boy is mad. He's crying and he's screaming. And mom says, I know. I'm sad and you are sad. Both of us, we are sad. I want to give you your toy. I want to give you your iPad, but there was a rule. Do you remember the rule? It said in the store you had to have good right behavior. We said no screaming, no yelling. We said quiet voice. And you forgot. Sorry. I'm sorry. I feel sorry for you. That's the goal. Responding to it with kindness, compassion. We understand you're upset, and I'm really sorry. There was a rule, and you forgot. You broke it. And no matter what happens, whatever you said the rule was, when it's broken, you have to do it. And you have to be consistent, okay? Before, this mom had told the boy, okay, do you see this toy or your iPad? If you forget the rule, if you're wrong, if you have wrong behavior, I'm going to take it away and we'll put it up there. And the boy was like, no. And mom's like, yes, I will. So this is just kind of an example to play through. Give you an idea of what we're going to be working on, how to do that well. There's so much involved with doing this correctly. We're going to be talking about choices. We're going to be talking about describing, you can ask for kids to do things in an order. Sometimes if they don't want to do this one, but they want to do this one, you can tell them we're going to do this one first, and then this one we can second, or later. Or with all the signs you learned through the lessons about time, you can tell them, if you finish, it's your homework or whatever, you do your homework first, and then you clean up your room second. That's going to be second. Then we're going to eat dinner. Then we're finished. Then you can play the game. Okay? And then finally, fifth will be bed. Okay? You can do it 3 fingers, 4 fingers, 2 fingers. You can explain when things are going to happen. You can explain the rules. You can give, like if a child is like, I'm going to have behavior now, and they're starting to get worked up, you can give them a choice. Okay, you can do that. You can respond. You can cry. You can get mad. Or you can tell me. You can tell me and say, I feel mad. If you do this one, then there's going to be some kind of a prize or a reward. Okay? If you choose this one, then you're going to have time out, or you have to sit, or there's going to be a punishment, maybe a spanking. Okay? I'm not advocating spanking, but I will be honest with you, just so that you know I'm an open book. When I was raising my daughters, who are both very, very sweet kids, sometimes they had behavior that was they were out of control. I don't know how to sign out of control exactly. I guess control not, just like, okay? And there were one or 2 or 3 times where there was just a very small spanking. It was not the response it was not a response that was very common in my household, but sometimes it happened, and I have no problems with parents choosing how to discipline their children. Okay, so no judgment here. I just want you to know the signs. Your family, yourself, you can make the decision. Okay, so again, I showed the sign real quick there for timeout. This is my left hand. I'm right-handed, so my left hand's like this. Thumb out, fingers together. Turn so that the thumb is pointing at me. And the other hand, my right hand, same hand shape, just like in football, it's going to come on top and tap 2 times. Timeout. Timeout. Taking the kid out of something, having them sit with some kind of a visual way of knowing when they're finished. Like they can see a clock with 3 minutes, or on the phones is really nice. You could set down 3 minutes and it'll go 2:59, 2:58, and they'll count down and count down. Something visual that they can see. Timeout can really be very successful. Other times, some kids, some behaviors, you try to put them in timeout and they're gone again. So this is going to be challenging. But timeout can work very well if you have explained that there's a rule. If the rule is broken, then there's going to be timeout for 5 minutes. All this kind of stuff. Clear, consistent, and compassionate. Okay, looking at my list to see if I can squeeze a few more signs in. This one's going a little bit long. Try to be quick. Okay, try to see what tools you're going to need, what tools you will need for the next lesson. Let's just focus a little bit on giving choices. So first, here's the sign for choice, okay? It's just like a number 2 or V, and we're going to turn it with the palm towards my face, and this hand, my right hand, is going to make like an F from the alphabet with these fingers up and thumb and index finger touching. And then it's going to be like you're picking a little delicate flower or picking a piece of lint off your shirt or whatever, okay? So you're going to pick from that finger and pick from the other finger. Hopefully you can see that clearly. I can turn a little bit too. You're going to pick. You do both those. Pointy finger first, middle finger second. Choice, choice, okay? Choice. So a lot of your behavior work, and it is work, is going to be choices. One of the strategies we're going to use, rather than trying to control everything, which is never successful, we're going to want to take a little bit of your power and give it to the child. And one way you can do that is with choices. They can decide. This is what you're going to do. If you choose this one, you can choose that one. If you choose it, then there's going to be trouble. You're going to get in trouble, and maybe your iPad will have to put away. Second choice is you can say, okay, Mom, and you can clean up, or whatever it is that you want them to do. So give them the two choices. Hold up just like this. Go back and forth with your pointy finger. Tap this finger, you're going to describe the choice. Tap this finger, you're going to describe the choice. And then you're going to sign which. Okay, my eyebrows just went up. This has been a good question that's come up a few times on the videos, so I'll clarify again. The rule for asking questions is, I'm guessing that you're all saying eyebrows down for the WH questions, and yes, that is the rule. But there are some times when the natural facial expression will kind of override that. It'll kind of, and you'll just kind of forget that eyebrow rule. If I were talking with my child and I was giving him a choice, okay, here's the wrong thing if you do that, trouble, and here's the right thing if you do that, here's a prize or like a reward, and I go, which one do you want? Kind of like, yeah, what are you going to do? What are you going to pick? Okay. Generally, good practice, eyebrows down for you. The other thing for eyebrows up is concern. So if like you're asking like, are you okay? Are you okay? Because it's a natural facial expression for being worried or concerned. So your eyebrows might go up like, whoa, are you okay? What happened? That's a natural time for eyebrows to go up is for concern. So just some feedback. Anyway, which? Probably best for you to put eyebrows down, just to kind of practice and get used to that rule. Which one do you want? Here's this one. Here's this one. Which one do you want? Okay. And then the other signs we talked about today were timeout. I showed you the sign for spanking. I didn't really explain it very well. Here's my my left arm, all these different pieces of jewelry. I don't know how I started wearing all this stuff, but you're going to make a fist with the palm of your hand towards your face and kind of at an angle here. And I guess this is like the child's head and this is their back and this is their butt. So you're going to take your hand and just swat it twice. Spank or spanking, okay? Timeout, spanking. Something else you might use is sit. And because it's a verb, you're going to do it one time. Sit. We showed choose. Another word you might use is rule. That's another one we used a lot today. Rule. So you're going to take an R from the alphabet. Duh. I mean, obviously, I'm telling you things you don't need to be told. And tap it up. It's going to see. So I need to be really clear. I've made the R, and I'm going to take this whole part of my hand is going to tap against this hand up high and then down low, up high and down low. So what it looks like is rule, rule. From the side, you can see again, this part of my hand where the thumb and the index finger are connected is what's going to hit. Rule. So you can ask them, rule what? Eyebrows kind of down, rule what? And you can use the rhetorical. What's the rule? Like, you can say, no hitting, or sleep bed 9 o'clock. There's all these different things you can do. So we're just starting to give you some of the basic tools. I hope this is helpful for you. Any comments that talk about specific behaviors that you're experiencing at home or that your child is experiencing at school and how it's being responded to, any comments like that are welcome. I'd be happy to try to incorporate responses to it in the video. So I think, oh my goodness gracious, 30 minutes, that's too much for all of you. You'll be overwhelmed. I hope not. But I hope this is helpful, and oh gosh, what am I signing? I look forward to seeing you again soon. My power to you. Good work, families. See you later.